the decisions in Dallas, would Jason Garrett still be the coach by the time we go to sleep tonight?
No, G. No, I keep telling you this. They prolonging the inevitable. And what you seeing happen on Sunday is because they're prolonging the inevitable. When you have a building full of people, not only players, but think about these assistant coaches. When they fire Jason Garrett, they may be looking for jobs too. It's 100 people in that building walking on eggshells every hour of every single day because they don't know the climate of what's coming outside of the fact that Jason Garrett will no longer be the head coach. We can talk about football, but this whole thing is spilling onto the field. 7 points for 3 quarters, and then you get going in the fourth quarter. We see the potential of this team even in losses, when they can move the ball down the field, when they create opportunities for themselves. But you look at the large portion of that game, the Dallas Cowboys did not want to play. I don't care what anybody says. There was no attention to detail. There was no attack like we need to play better. What happened to us the last 3 or 4 games? None of that entered into the fray. Guys fussing on the sideline, Jason Witten talking. Man, do something. But the problem is you walking on eggshells in the building. Futures are undetermined. People do not know what's going to happen. And I told you, G, everybody blames Jason Garrett for this. And Jason Garrett is what he is. Jason Garrett hasn't been this guy. He's had a couple good years where we thought Dallas could make a run. But the bottom line is Jason Garrett is an average coach. That's what his record says. And now you have a building full of people that know something is coming down with the head coach being fired, and all of them are worried about new jobs as well.
Yeah, and he's got an average football team that we all think should be much, much better. Acho, agree or disagree?
I completely agree with you, my guy. You got to get rid of Garrett because, like he said, not only are you delaying the inevitable, you have nothing to earn. You have nothing to gain by keeping Garrett. He's proven he's not going to go out there and win you any games with his masterful intellect, with his masterful attention to detail with coaching. That's what Jason Garrett has shown you. He had 7 days to prepare from the Bills game to the Bears game, Thursday to Thursday. It looked like an identical games, Greeny. He has to go.
I want to ask you this, Bobby, because, and Swagoo just brought it up. The first drive of the game, 9 minutes, 4 for 4 on third down. They're running the ball. They're converting on everything. And then they don't score again until the game is over. What happened?
It's the same thing that happened against the Bills. Like, they script for success at the beginning of the game, and they do that. And then all of a sudden, they get away from all of that. And I went back and thinking, okay, maybe they'll reset this thing at halftime. Charlotte comes out, puts together a nice drive. There's plenty of time. They come out 3 straight passes without handing the ball to Zeke once. Like, even
Bobby,
if he gets a yard.
Elaborate on the script for success thing, because I don't think the fan knows what you mean when you.
They're going to sit there and they're going to look at this Chicago Bears defense, which is, it's not the most complicated thing in the world, but they're going to understand, hey, these are the plays that we want to run. These are the motions, the shifts to get them into some advantageous situations, to be able to take advantage of stuff, to get the ball out quick, to make sure, hey, we have 5 or 6 runs that we are going to get in early on. And then once they get away from that, you start looking at the rest of the play sheet. You're like, wow, you got this one here that I really like, this one here that I really like, and you forget about all the stuff you did before that.
Lewis, it's Zeke. I mean, I think at the end of the day, any fan, you guys are all players and coaches and all that, right? Any fan can watch the game and say, this is a team that is supposed to be built around the superstar running back who you just gave all of this money to, and they never give him the ball in the second half.
Look, philosophy, the definition of philosophy is something that they just don't seem to abide by, okay, as far as what it really means, which is, who you are, what you believe in, what you believe ultimately got you into the positions that you're in right now as a head coach, as a GM, as a football player, as an organization. They don't stand for anything right now. They say they do, but when really the rubber meets the road, they kind of go haywire. They kind of go everywhere right now. And I'll tell you this. There are a bunch of coaches, as Swagoo, I can't even call him Swagoo. Marcus. Marcus. I'm not calling you Swagoo, but you know what? You are right about one thing. There are a bunch of people in that building right now who, when their doors are shut and they're on their phones like this, and they're making calls going, hey, dog, what you hearing about what's going on in Washington? What you hear about what's going on here? Oh, yeah, that's right. I got to put together a game plan. And you know what? You really think the performance is going to get better at this point, especially when there's so much uncertainty? Because half of the people's time is spent looking for the next job than it is about winning these next 3 games. And that is a situation that has been created by Jerry Jones not having gotten rid of this head coach at the beginning of the year.
Oh, by the way, they're still in first place. Swagoo, jump back in.
Marcus.
See, that's why we have to have Lou up there, G, because Lou adds the kind of integrity and character that we all want to have, all right? Lou is that guy, and he says something poignant. Like, what's the identity? Well, gee, when it comes to football, you know me, I equate football to money. Just like when you do a good job, you get paid. Here's the deal. Follow the money. The success is built through this offensive line and Zeke Elliott, and they continuously get away from it. Everybody was sold on the Dallas Cowboys because why? We talked about it all offseason. Zeke is in Cabo. He's getting ready for the season. When they get Zeke back, this team will be a Super Bowl contender. And they go away from him. Where else did they invest? The offensive line. This is how this team is built. Dak leading the league in passing. Dak throwing touchdowns. Dak doing all of these things. This is not the formula for success for the Cowboys. And now we have a head coach that's like, he is so uninvolved at this point. Last night, we look at body language. I remember Gino Auriemma, the coach for the UConn women's basketball team, said he'll go to a high school game and hear about a great recruit, a girl that can play basketball, and if she doesn't have the right body language, he will not sign her to his team. Jason Garrett last night on the sideline did not want to coach football. I don't care what anybody says. He shut it down. The Cowboys shut it down. And now we're looking at a team that everybody keeps saying, well, they number one in the division. I agree with Lou. Nobody from the NFC East should make the damn playoffs. Just X them from the whole thing because none of them going to win a game. And we sitting here today and we trying to come up with all of these reasons that the Cowboys aren't doing well. They not playing well. They not giving Zeke the ball. The problem is, I'm going to go back to what I said at first. Everybody's on eggshells in that building, and nobody can focus on winning football games. And they aren't even doing what makes them a good football team by giving their best player, the $90 million man, the ball enough to give them a chance in football games.
So
I'm done, man. I don't know. I can't even argue with Stephen A. no more. I can't even, he's posting these videos during games, and I can't say anything. The only thing I can hang my head on is this damn purple and gold behind my back. That's all I can hang my head on. Because the Dallas Cowboys, where I live, and I take pride in this team being good, will not win a damn football game, and they won't give Zeke the ball.
We will have Stephen A.
That's
coming
all I
in here.
got.
I want to ask a question we haven't gotten to yet. We've been on an hour and 14 minutes, and I haven't gotten to this yet. I remember we were here last Friday after the Thanksgiving game, and there was the yelling and the screaming in the locker room. And I remember you said to me, next comes the players-only meeting. Now what happens? I mean, we're all sitting here yelling and screaming, and the whole world is yelling and screaming, and we played radio sound from Dallas, people losing their minds. But he's not going to fire the coach.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to come back to work, and they are still in first place. So where do you go from here?
I think realistically, the players-only meeting, Lou, probably happens this morning. I mean, they're probably in it right now, if I'm being honest. Dak Prescott, they close the doors. Step out, it's players only. That's what you do. Where do you go from here, Greeny? You have to have an unrelenting commitment to what you don't want to do, which is run the ball. And we hate to belabor this point, but let me just give you the stats so the fans can truly appreciate it. The Cowboys don't really want to run the ball. They want to run the ball so we don't talk about them on Get Up and so Stephen A. doesn't get on their head. But they're so easily deterred. The first play of the second drive, they run the ball. They only gain 1 yard. To hell with that. First play of the third drive, they run the ball. They only get 1 yard. Back to Dak Prescott. You have to have an unrelenting commitment to it.
And so here's why running the ball is important. If you look at the numbers last night, Dak Prescott 40 points better in QBR after a run than after a pass.
Wow.
And so it goes back to this, and Marcus talked about, follow the money, roster construction. Bill Parcells, one of the best team builders in NFL history. He made the famous line, if you're going to make me cook the dinner, you better let me shop for the groceries. And in great organizations, those two things are in lockstep. You look at Kansas City, you look at Baltimore, you look at San Francisco, and all these teams that are having success, they have drafted and brought in players to fit the scheme that they run. Dallas has paid an offensive line to run the football. They have paid Zeke, and the coaching staff insists on not listening.
Look, football. This is my spiel, okay? We keep sitting here going, run the football, stay on brand. It's Jason Garrett. It's not Dak. I'll just boil it down to this, and we know this. Football's a tough game, man. And at the professional level, if you've ever watched a football game from the sideline, it's a game played by men, real big, fast, strong, tough men. And the difference between the guys who are winning consistently and who are being in the playoffs, it's up here. It's being able to say, look, I don't care what my wife is doing, what my girlfriend's doing, my mom's doing, my dad's doing. I don't care what bills need to be paid. I don't care about my car needs to be serviced. I don't care about anything. I'm focusing for these 3.5 hours on whooping that guy and doing what's the next call that's coming in? Okay, what's my assignment here? What's the next call that's coming in? Then, okay, this is my assignment here. What's the next call? For 3.5 hours for 16 games, and then maybe 3 or 4 in the playoffs. That's hard to do for one season, let alone what the Patriots have done since 2003 or 2001. It's a hard game. And right now, they don't have that. You can see it. That's why one week Dallas comes out and it's zoom, zoom, zoom up and down the field. And the next week it's like, who the heck is that team? They don't have it up here. But I will say this. I would bet this. Different staff, different message, different approach, different off-season training habits, different install. You would see this team play better. And that's where they're headed. You know that's where they're headed. But this is a tough game. And right now their players, they're not playing that way.
Let me get one last question into Swagoo before I lose him, because at the end of the day, you know what's going on here. They have 3 games left. They are still, in theory, in first place right now. They have the Rams, and they go to the Eagles, and they finish with Washington. Do you believe the Cowboys, when it's all said and done, are going to win the NFC East?
Yep, because the Eagles want to give it away as bad as the Cowboys are trying to give it away. My only problem is if the damn game comes down to a Brett Maher kick, I'm not betting on that at all. Like there's that issue and layer to what's going on as well. The dude kicked the ball out of bounds on a kickoff, missing field goals. So I hope that when the Cowboys and Eagles play, that it doesn't come down to that. But with that being said, G, the Eagles just lost to the Dolphins. Cowboys lose to the Jets. This whole division is crap. And the Cowboys are fortunate and they benefiting from it because they have one game up on the Eagles. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys just because they lead the division right now. But that don't guarantee nothing.
It guarantees you a home playoff game is the one thing that it does guarantee you. Swagoo, enjoy watching your alma mater tomorrow.